What's going on, everybody? Good morning. We have made it to yet another day closer to the 2024 NFL Draft, and we are continuing with the positional big board work that we've started over the last couple days. Basically, just condensing all the knowledge that we've gained over the last month plus of looking at prospects. Really, this is something that goes back further than that. It goes back 6 months, 7 months, back to when college football was being played. So, we've done the skill positions on offense. Now we're going to do the offensive line positions. We're going to go left to right, and I did divide things up by individual position. Although it is worth noting that, once again, it's really hard to know where a player actually lands in the NFL because sometimes circumstance plays a role. Sometimes it has more to do with, oh, we end up finding something out about the player that we didn't know in college because they were physically dominant in a way they cannot be in the NFL. So understand that. But best guess where these guys end up and where they're going to be projected at to start, at the very least. So once again, if you want to see my full big board listed from 1 to 287, just every position all mixed together, you can pledge to my Patreon, $10 or more, or become a Tier 3 Ring of Honor member here on the channel, and then go to the community tab to get the link. So if that is how you prefer to digest all this, you can get that there. But let's do it individually by position. Left tackle. Let's start with the left tackle, the most important and valuable of the offensive line positions. Pretty much consensus on that. So my number one's Joe Alt. I don't think there's any reason to doubt that at this point. It took a while for us to really figure it out, but he's clearly left tackle one, and he's not generational, but he is right up there with the typical elite left tackle prospect you see pretty much every year in the draft. Olu Fashanu is number two. I'm not totally buying his drop off. I know that he's sharply dropping on these big boards. I don't think that it's entirely warranted. I think he had like one really bad game last year, and other than that, he was as locked down as Alt. So to me, he is number two and still a top 10, top 12 guy approximately. Number three is Photon, and I know that I previously listed him as a left guard, but it's become relatively clear that the league is going to view him as a left tackle, and I would be doing him a disservice if I didn't at least list him here. So Troy Fautanu is going to be a left tackle for our purposes. Obviously, I think he can slide inside in certain circumstances, but in most circumstances, he won't because he's good enough to play left tackle very clearly. Number four is Kingsley Sumayataya of BYU. I found myself really enamored with Kingsley the more I looked at him. I think that he deserves to go in the first round. I don't know if he will. Obviously, it depends on need, and there are some really good right tackles in this draft, as well as the top left tackles that are going to deplete the need for offensive linemen to go in the first, but I think he's a first-round talent. Big fan of Kingsley. And then Jordan Morgan of Arizona. He's a guy who could slide inside, but I do believe he will be initially looked at as a left tackle. I think he can clearly play left tackle in the NFL, and I think he'll be a good one. I think he's like a borderline first-round guy. He's right hanging around that area to me. I didn't think I was going to like him as much as I did, but he did grow on me. Next guy will be Kieran Amegadjie of Yale. Kieran Amegadjie. I think that he's getting a little undervalued right now because he got hurt and basically missed, I want to say 2/3 or 3/4 of the season. But he was playing really well to start, and he has got a good track record. His skill set's really good. So I'm optimistic about Kieran. I think he's going to be a good pro. Obviously, it's hard to project everything. There's a lot of unknowns with Kieran, but I'm high on him. Number 7 is Patrick Paul of Houston. Kind of troubled by some of his technique stuff, but I think the talent is immense. The potential's immense. The right coaching should be able to get this guy to a really high level. He could be like a Pro Bowl caliber left tackle, I think, if he finds the right circumstance. It's not a guarantee that he does. And I'm not going to sit here and act like he's a sure thing. He's definitely not even close to a sure thing is Patrick Paul. But I think his potential puts him up here. And then I think at that point there's a pretty significant drop off. It's like after the top three, there's a drop off, and then after the seventh guy in this grouping, I think it's a pretty good drop off as well. Javon Foster would be my next guy. Not really a fit for what we're doing, but he is certainly interesting and intriguing a player. If you run the right kind of offense, like a gap blocking scheme that doesn't require your offensive lineman to move a lot in space, I think he'll be good. Kylan Grable of UCF is my number 9, another kind of day 3 guy. Early-ish day 3. I think there's enough potential here to say that, but definitely a day 3 guy. Frank Crum of Wyoming. I remember looking at him and actually being really intrigued by his mix of size and agility, but there's a lot to work on. So that would be my top 10, and you can see that, you get 10 deep into this position, and already you're kind of scraping at the bottom here. Walter Rouse of Oklahoma would be my next guy, another guy who I think has some semi-intriguing potential, but I do kind of expect him to be a latter half of the day 3 guy. I don't think there's enough to really get excited about. And then we start getting down into the true projects. You've got Julian Pearl of Illinois. He has I would say a very interesting set of talent, but obviously it's very unlikely he achieves all of it. He's got a mix of size and agility, but he's not really a good player yet. In particular, last year he got completely lit up in pass protection, and he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to start trying to overcome that. I have KT Leviston at 13. He's a guy who I could see moving inside, honestly, but I do think that initial looks will view him as a left tackle because that's what he that's where he will at least want a chance at. So KT Leviston, pretty good in space, but not really agile. It's one of those things where he kind of overcomes his own physical limitations. Number 14 is Travis Glover of Georgia State. This is one of the guys we had in for a top 30 visit. Otherwise, he would not have been on my radar, really. So just somebody that I evaluated because we seem to at least be a little bit interested. And number 15, and the final guy on my left tackle list, is Ethan Driscoll of Marshall. I believe this may have been the other guy we had in for a top 30 visit. It was either that or he came across my radar at the last second because he was one of the last couple guys that I did. So that is my 15 left tackles in this draft. I do expect the last couple guys to be undrafted, and I would put undrafted grades on them at the very least. But it's a really good class at the top. I think there might be 5 first-round caliber players here. And then we have another 2 guys who I think are day 3 caliber. So it's a really good crop. Obviously, a guy like Photon could slide inside and diminish the value of the crop a little bit. But that doesn't change the fact that I think he can do it and do it well at the NFL level. So that is what I have for left tackle. See you guys later. We're going to be moving from left to right along the offensive line to wrap this up. And then we are segueing over to the defense. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any strong disagreements or if you think I'm missing something. I want to hear it. I will see you guys later today. Go Hawks. And yeah, we are just bumping right along here.